Don't worry if you're feeling a little blue because of this COVID-19 pandemic. I have some practical ways that you can manage it on this episode of Study of One. Well, we've all got a source for news, and mine is the New York Times Daily Briefing. I love the guy who writes the Daily Briefing. His name is Chris, and he does a really great job along with his whole team, and they're doing their jobs from their homes now, and they keep putting out great information. It's a lot of stuff about the virus, of course, naturally, and some political things, and some feel-good things, and some recipes, and just little snippets of this and that that help make the day a little better, a little brighter, and a little more well-informed. Now that I've put my plug in for the New York Times Daily Briefing, I want to talk about an article that I read as a result of the Daily Briefing, and the title of the article is, "I Spent a Year in Space, and I Have Tips on Isolation to Share." Take it from someone who couldn't go outside. This is an article by astronaut Scott Kelly. He's a retired NASA astronaut who spent nearly a year on the International Space Station. He has 8 pieces of advice that I'm going to share with you today that might help you with your sheltering in place. First of all, Scott Kelly suggests that you follow a schedule. Scott Kelly says, maintaining a plan will help you and your family adjust to a different work and home life environment. Now, for a lot of us, that means you're working from home. So if you're working from home and you have family members there who don't really appreciate that you're actually working, you can create a workspace that is specific to work. It could be in a section of your family's living room or in a guest bedroom. I have a kind of an interesting little workspace when I'm recording voiceovers, and that's in a hall closet. This is my studio space. My husband, George, graciously accepted the challenge to move all of his clothes to a shared closet, and that leaves this closet available for me to put my microphone and all of my equipment. It's a small space, but it works. You don't have to schedule yourself from minute to minute or even from hour to hour, but having maybe regular meal times, a regular bedtime, definitely, and even some things built into your day. For instance, my husband and I are starting to do Tai Chi at noon during the day. This gets us up and moving and also creates a schedule. We have a dog, Charlie, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably seen him make a cameo appearance, and he is very certain about a schedule of walking him. So we do have that built into our schedule. But especially if you have kids, building in time for play, for reading, for homework, it becomes really critical for everybody's mental health. Number 2 is connected to number 1, follow a schedule. But pace yourself. Scott Kelly says, when you're living and working in the same space for days on end, work can have a way of taking over everything if you let it. I've been doing a little bit of that, letting my YouTube videos take over the house. So from time to time, I have to work on running around and cleaning up all of the detritus. It actually helps keep my brain calm if I keep the space a little more clear of my clutter. This is also where he recommends scheduling a consistent bedtime. George and I go to bed between 9 and 9:30, and we both stay up and read a while. Yeah, it's early, but we're over 50, so we get to go to bed early. Usually fall asleep by around 10 o'clock, and that works pretty well because we both get up pretty early in the morning and get started on the day. You have to figure out what your rhythms will allow, and once you've figured out your own body rhythms, which is easier to do when you're in a shelter-in-place situation, then schedule your bedtime around the most comfortable bedtime for you, or one that you can compromise with your bedmate. Make that your consistent scheduled bedtime. It really will make a difference. You'll wake up in the morning feeling more refreshed if you can count on a regular time at night to go to sleep. Number 3, go outside. As our astronaut friend says, getting moving once a day should be part of your quarantine schedule. Like I said before, we have a dog who demands to go outside regularly, so we do walk him 4, 5, even 6 times a day. And that's great for us because it gets us up and moving. And the other thing we've been taking on, this regular Tai Chi practice, actually helps us move our bodies in a different way. Figure out what works for you, get outside, get moving. Trust me, I know, I've done this. It's easy to get into a comfortable situation where you're working and you stay in that position for hours on end, and then when you stand up, you can't straighten out. Just get your body moving at least once every hour or so, even if it's stretching your legs while being seated. Do something to move your body. Number 4, you need a hobby. Scott Kelly says, you need an outlet that isn't work or maintaining your environment. My sister is doing like one art project every day. She's so creative. So she has been creating something different by watching YouTube videos and following classes online, and she's trying out things and finding work. I also have a friend, Amy Whitaker, who does Art by Amy Whitaker, and she is sharing her art online. I highly recommend it. She paints with coffee. I'll put a link in below so that you can go check out her stuff. It's really beautiful. She does commissions. Support an artist. I also know another artist, my nephew, and I just bought a work of art from him the other day. That's his work, so it really doesn't count as a hobby because it's his work, but he does love it and he paints all day long. So I'm going to give you a link to his work as well. Go support an artist and come up with a hobby yourself. Something creative, something that gets you moving. Come up with some way to occupy your mind that isn't about keeping house or doing work. It's really healthy for your brain, it's healthy for your body, and it's super healthy for your whole family if they have to live with you while you're working at home. Number 5, keep a journal. What Scott Kelly says about this is writing about your days will help put your experiences in perspective and let you look back later on what this unique time in history has meant. I think this cannot be emphasized enough. I've been pretty sporadic about keeping a journal, but I gotta tell you, when I do, I feel better. Writing about what's happening, how you're feeling, the things you're doing, and how life is changing for you personally can be really cathartic. And later on, it'll be great to be able to look back on this time because this is a monumental period in history. Because we're living in it day to day, it's starting to feel like our new normal, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But I do want to emphasize that even though it's our new normal, it is still historic. So write about it. Write about your feelings about it. That's what matters to your family and future generations. How many of us have done one of those projects in school where we were required to go talk to a grandparent about what it was like to live through the Great Depression or World War II or 9/11? So think about that while you're journaling. Don't necessarily write for an audience other than you, but do write. It's important. Number 6, take time to connect. As he says, isolation is damaging not only to our mental health, but to our physical health. I found that ever since I did the 2 videos just preceding this one, that I'm doing more and more of that online video chatting, which has been really nice. It's a great way to connect with people you love. You can take time to make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and sit in front of the monitor and talk to friends and family. It's a pretty good setup because you can actually see their faces and know if they're joking, right? It's really good to find out that other people are struggling with the same issues you are. I'm not sick. And I don't have a family member who's sick, and I don't know anyone who's died. So my problems seem pretty insignificant. I'm here with my husband and my dog. I live on the river in a beautiful location, and I'm in a county that has, as yet, no recorded cases of the coronavirus. So what am I complaining about? Number 7, listen to experts. He says we have to seek out knowledge from those who know the most about it and listen to them. If you're looking at information from the Centers for Disease Control or the World Health Organization, they're pretty reliable in terms of good doctor information. Beware of listening to Karen from Facebook because her information may or may not be legitimate. Seek out sources of information that you know are reliable. But once you've got the information from a reliable source, stop digging. I have a terrible habit of, after reading the news on my daily briefing from the New York Times, of doing these deep dives, and I end up in these weird sites full of information that is very hinky. So I have just stopped doing that because it doesn't make me feel better, and the information's not reliable, and it wastes my time. So Use that time that you might be going on deep dives into shady internet sites and make something. Needlepoint a pillow, make up a song, play with your dog. You have options that are something other than deep diving into coronavirus news. Number 8, we are all connected. What astronaut Scott Kelly says about this is, the spread of the coronavirus is showing us that what we share is much more powerful than what keeps us apart, for better or for worse. All people are inescapably interconnected, and the more we can come together to solve our problems, the better off we will all be. There are ways to connect. My brother-in-law is doing a Twitter book club. My sister's sharing videos of her arts projects. I have friends all over the place who are doing play readings and book readings and singing music. There are so many ways to connect digitally because we do live in a time of the internet and we are connected across the entire world. So use this time to connect with people you haven't seen in a while or people that you used to see every day. Make sure you let them know that you're thinking about them, that you are still connected to them and they to you. And use this time to create peace for yourself and for the world. You're doing okay. You're loved. You're cherished. And we're going to come through this together. Where you can get on and talk to someone face to face. Where you can get on and... Okay, I'll finish that one later. Am I right?